And welcome back, RosterWatch Nation. It's your friendly neighborhood Trashman, and this is the Garbage Grab, where we talk about all fantasy players unsavory and unlovable alike. What we usually do. Today may not be one of those days. We're going to be talking about some players who you're probably going to want to draft, and you're going to want to draft them early, especially with what I have to tell you. I'm here on behalf of RosterWatch.com, where we have all the fantasy information you will ever need to dominate your leagues from the draft throughout the playoffs. Today I'm going to be talking about running back schedules, especially favorable ones. My last installment I talked about wide receiver schedules that were favorable to start the season. Today I'm going to be talking about your running backs. We're going to get off to strong starts. So let's get started. Our first running back on the list is Mark Ingram, now of the Baltimore Ravens. He's a current mid-5th round ADP. Ingram, he looks to play above that 5th round ADP with arguably the softest schedule to start a season as any back we're going to see this year. He faces Miami, Arizona, Kansas City, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, though he also has a decent Pittsburgh defense the week prior to Cincinnati. But that 1 through 4 and then 6 are splendid for Ingram. We don't expect second-year quarterback Lamar Alexander to throw the ball much, so the Ravens are likely to run until they can run no more. Rookie running back Justice Hill is a talented pass catcher, but Ingram can catch the ball. And he's a better runner, well, a more powerful runner. So don't expect the Ravens to take him out of the game if he's got the momentum. In my opinion, RB1 numbers aren't out of the realm of possibilities for Ingram, especially through week 6. Second player with a really nice start to their season from the running back position, Tevin Coleman of the San Francisco 49ers. Aside from Pittsburgh in week 3, the 49ers have a string of beatable run defenses all the way until week 12. Through week 12, you're going to want to hold on to Coleman, or maybe Breida, or maybe Jerick McKinnon for that entire time. The question really is which one of those backs is going to capitalize on this schedule, and my bet is Coleman. Coleman is familiar with Coach Kyle Shanahan's offense, and he's versatile. He can basically do what Breida and McKinnon do, but he's one player. He can be used as a runner or as a pass catcher. If you do miss out on Coleman, however, both Breida and McKinnon are worth taking a chance on late in drafts due to San Francisco's cushy schedule. You're going to be able to get him cheap, and if you get him, you're going to be able to use him. Up next, Alfred Morris, an oldie and not really a goodie. But the Cowboys are apparently calling Ezekiel Elliott's bluff for his holdout for a new contract. And they're reinforcing their stance by adding Alfred Morris to the backfield while Elliott relaxes in Mexico. Morris is familiar with the Cowboys' offense as he ran for over 500 yards and a touchdown for Dallas 2 seasons ago. He becomes the immediate number 2 in Dallas and will be the primary scoring back if Zeke does continue to hold throughout the season, or through some part of the season. He's worth an add in most formats as he can provide valuable value in the early goings of the season. Tony Pollard becomes an interesting pickup too if Zeke sits out, as he would be the obvious choice for third down and passing situations for the Cowboys. Who's running for Dallas is especially important because their schedule to start the season is so cherry. They start out with the Giants, Miami, and Washington. So it's going to be a nice schedule for whoever starts as the starting running back in Dallas. And hopefully it's not Alfred Morris. Hopefully it is Ezekiel Elliott. But stranger things have happened. And if it's Morris, you're going to want to have him on your roster. Up next, we have Sony Michel of the New England Patriots. Outside of Pittsburgh in week 1, The Patriots have 7 straight games against poor to middling run defenses. The beneficiary here could be several of the mini Patriot backs on the roster, but only 2 are primarily runners, so we'll deal with them. The main one here is Sony Michel. Sony Michel was recently on the active, physically unable to perform list, but he's slated to return to practice this Saturday, putting him on schedule to be the lead back in New England at the start of the season. Nothing else, he should be the primary goal line back. Hovering like a specter over Michel, though, is rookie Damian Harris out of Alabama, who's been building steam as Michel has been sitting. Harris won't likely usurp Michel as long as Michel is healthy and productive, but another knee injury or something as simple as a fumble could upend that whole situation. Harris can be had at the end of most drafts right now, so he's a no-pressure pickup. And he could be worth his weight in gold if Michel happens to slip one way or the other. Up next, we have Dalvin Cook of the Minnesota Vikings. Things get pretty hairy for Minnesota after Week 5, but for Weeks 1, 2, 3, and 5, the sledding is easy for Dalvin Cook and company. They face Atlanta, Green Bay, Oakland, and the Giants in that time. Cook was already in for an increase in touches with Latavius Murray gone to New Orleans this season, and his breezy start should only help in boosting his value. If you believe in starting the year off strong, your fantasy season off strong, which we do here at RosterWatch, Cook is a prime candidate to help your team do just that. Currently, he's a 3rd round ADP. So, fairly cheap considering that he is likely to put up RB1 numbers, at least for the first several weeks. Up next, we have someone who you're going to draft early and often anyways, but the Giants receivers are dropping like flies, so it's a good thing that their strength of schedule against the run is so favorable. They start out against a stout Dallas front in Week 1, but then they get Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and Washington all back-to-back. Like I said, you were planning on picking up Barkley early and often in drafts, but this just makes sure that he's going to go nuts while his teammates at the wide receiver position either heal up or come back from suspension. Next up, we have Jordan Howard of the Eagles. I'm not totally sure who's going to be carrying the ball for the Eagles the most, but you'll be happy to know that whoever it is should have an easy enough time doing it. Philly faces only 2 formidable run defenses in their first 8 games. Those are Detroit and Dallas, but they get teams like Atlanta and Green Bay and Washington in their first 4 games. Right now, at least, it appears that Jordan Howard is the most likely to get the bulk of carries on first and second down, as he's been the most complete back in practices thus far. Rookie Miles Sanders is certainly talented, but his pass protection has been lacking, noticeably lacking, and that's a must to have to stay on the field. Darren Sproles and Corey Clement are still in the mix as third down specialists, as we all know, but it does look like Howard is going to be the first and second down back to start the season and likely to be their goal line back as well. Up next, we have David Montgomery of the Chicago Bears. The Bears have one of the tougher midpoints in the season as far as running schedule goes, but their first 5 games are really juicy outside of a matchup with Denver in Week 2. They face Green Bay, Washington, Oakland, and Minnesota otherwise. David Montgomery has been impressive in the preseason, making guys miss with ease. He can also catch passes, something that eluded Jordan Howard most of his time during his stay in Chicago. Right now, Montgomery can be had at the beginning of the 6th round, so that's a good value. He could pay dividends if his progression continues. And last, and certainly least, we have Peyton Barber of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Barber has been as close to cuttable as any starting running back in the NFL can get, but his schedule to start the year is good enough to elevate his stock enough where you can get some trade value out of him before you ship him off your team for good. The Bucs face a murderer's row the last half of the season, so make sure he's gone after their first 3 or 4 games. And that's about it, guys, for our runners who have especially easy schedules to start the season off. These are going to be guys that you can use to start out fast and strong in your leagues. And then, you know, a lot of different things could happen, but at least you'll be off to a good, solid start in your leagues. So again, I'm the Trashman. This is the Garbage Grab on behalf of RosterWatch.com. Be ready.